Welcome to Get Paid for Your Pad, the definitive show on Airbnb hosting, featuring the best advice on how to maximize profits from your Airbnb listing, as well as real-life experiences from Airbnb hosts all over the world. Welcome. We are your hosts, Josefa Kapadia and Jasper Rivers.
Get paid for your pad. 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 Get paid for your pad.
Hey everybody, welcome to your bi-weekly dose of Airbnb advice. I'm your host Jasper Rivers, and today I am here with a very interesting guest. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of good advice because he actually advises hotels on how to improve their hospitality standards. So welcome to the show, Alexander van Dijl.
Thank you. I love your book, Jasper. Thank you so much for sending that to me, and thank you for inviting me on this podcast.
Yeah, you're very welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. I've just woken up, so decided to do a podcast right away. Wake up, do the podcast, and get going.
Well, that makes two of us. It's 9 a.m. here in the Netherlands, and it's a Saturday morning, so that shows how committed we are to providing you guys with some good advice. Alexander, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes, there's a lot to share. I've traveled the world, and I've been traveling the world for quite a few years now. Been in almost every continent. Been in many countries. Realized that there's a lot of things to improve in the hospitality standards around the world, especially so far I've seen in Europe. So I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I live here.
And what made you realize that the hotels need to improve on their hospitality standards?
Well, you'll notice around the world when you enter a hotel or basically any kind of accommodation, you're standing in line. You start standing in line from the moment you check in at the airport. So you stand in line at the airport, you stand in line at security, you stand in line at the hotel. Well, basically all you want when you get to a hotel is a bed and something to eat or something to drink. And usually they offer that the other way around. So first they'll make you stand in line, fill out all sorts of information which you've already told the hotel. And basically, it's all a big hassle. Whereas a hotel check-in process should be nice, it should be smooth, you should be made to feel welcome and not have to fill out all sorts of annoying forms, and especially not getting the stuff you want.
That's a really good point. I totally agree. What was there one specific experience that you had at a hotel that made you decide that you wanted to get into the hospitality business, or was it just a number of observations like the ones you just told us?
I'd have to say there were definitely a number of observations which I've had. Also, the hotel breakfast. Often, a hotel breakfast can be very, very overpriced. But one of the things I noticed when I was at specific hotels, I've been to hotels where there is no line. There's like an automated check-in process, which is really nice. You go to a computer, you put in your passport, and they'll print out the form with all the information which you don't need to fill out again. And everything will be done in a few minutes, and you'll be invited immediately to the bar if it's busy, and they'll give you a drink or a couple of drinks for free, just to welcome you into the hotel. The other thing is hotels where they'll offer a free breakfast, which is just a nice little gesture. Like, you're in the hotel anyway, you pay them a lot of money. Why not give the breakfast for free? Do something nice to the guests. And it's all those small little details, that add up to a nice hotel experience. And actually, the main reason I decided to get into the hotel business is I wrote a book on customer service. The book is in Dutch, unfortunately for all the English listeners, but it explains how many businesses can improve their level of service. And I interviewed a few hotels for that reason, and they were so enthusiastic about the book. So I decided to get more into the hotel business.
Awesome. So you traveled around the world. You noticed that the hotels weren't doing a good job when it comes to customer service and their hospitality standards. And you decided to write a book about customer service in general. You hit up a few hotels. They were enthusiastic about your book. And that's how you started your consultancy business for hotels. So right now you go to hotels and you teach them how to improve their hospitality standards, correct?
Well, actually, I'm living in a hotel right now. Because I'm renting out my apartment through Airbnb. Also, I need somewhere to sit, and actually live in a hotel now for about a month, and use the time that I'm living here to improve their level of service, of everything they do.
That's awesome, and I understand you also advise on some pretty big hotel chains. Like, I believe Hilton is one of them, is it?
Yes, there's a couple of big hotel names. Many I've been into. I've been into Hyatt. I've been into Hilton. I've been to Ramada. I've been to the I forget the name, like the Ibis hotels and those kind of one of these groups that has many different hotel names. Yeah, and I've been to a lot of them now. I interviewed Movenpick Hotels, which was really great. They're a really great company. But there's so much to do. There's so much to improve. The hotels I love the most are actually the smaller hotels, the small boutique hotels. So not part of the big chains, or at least not shown to be part of the big chains. They're the hotels I like the most.
Awesome. So you definitely have a lot of expertise in the hospitality business. So let's see how we can apply that wisdom and talk about how Airbnb hosts can improve their hospitality standards and their customer service to their guests. So how did you get into Airbnb?
Well, I think that's quite a funny story, and I do like to share that. The end of 2013, I was actually very broke. I was in the process of writing my book. I was not doing any consultancy at all. My websites were not doing so well. So I actually had a problem. My money was running out. And in this country, anyone can get money from the government. But I decided I did not want to do that. I wanted to find another way of getting money which would last for the long term. And then I discovered Airbnb and realized I can just rent out my apartment and I will stay with friends, or, I'll stay with my family. And I actually used Airbnb to get over the first hurdle. I mean, I was broke, and I'm now actually making a large part of my income through renting out my Airbnb listing, which is really nice. So that's how I got started. So I got started because of a financial issue, and it's now helped me to actually get into bigger, better hotels.
Awesome. So Airbnb threw you a lifeline, and this I've heard this before. A lot of people have similar experiences, and that's one of the cool things about Airbnb, that if you want to start your own business and you don't have a lot of cash to give you sort of a long runway, you might just be able to get a good basis for your finances by just renting out your place and just crashing with friends and family for a while. So that's pretty awesome. What type of listing do you have, and where is it located?
I have a very nice apartment on the edge of Utrecht. It's a city a little outside of Amsterdam. One of these forgotten cities. It's a lovely place, but tourists tend to still head to Amsterdam. It's got everything that you'd want as a guest of a hotel or even Airbnb guest. It's got free parking. It's close to the public transport. It's near like outdoor areas like parks and things. It's also quite near to the city. It's a lovely place, and I noticed that people love it. People love to stay there.
Awesome. So it's in Utrecht. It's half an hour away from Amsterdam. And I agree, a lot of tourists would probably love the city because it's kind of like a mini Amsterdam. It also has like really cute canals and nice old buildings. So if you do visit Amsterdam, make sure you take the train and head over to Utrecht and check it out. So how long have you been hosting?
So my first guest, I do remember my first guest very well. Because it is the most exciting guest, it's the first person you meet who will stay in your house and you will not be there. So you're actually giving a stranger the keys to your house. And the first guest was on New Year's Eve, so 2013 to 2014, and there was a very nice young couple, and they wanted to party in Utrecht before they went back to their hometown of Rotterdam. During the night, the trains don't run in the Netherlands, so they had no way of getting home, and they decided to use my apartment to just to sleep, after their party.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it all got started. I actually did turn down a few guests before then who I just did not trust for some reason. Now I don't mind. Now I don't turn down any guests anymore. But back then I was a little worried. And I must say, since then I have realized that there is absolutely nothing to worry about. Airbnb will take great care of you whenever something should happen, if something should happen. So
Right.
that's
so
my
you,
experience.
so you started less than a year ago, and you mentioned you were a little bit apprehensive at first about letting people into your house, a little bit selective with the type of guests that you wanted to welcome, correct?
That's absolutely correct. And I actually hear that from a lot of other people also. There's a lot of people who will want to rent out their apartment, but they're very, very, very selective, maybe a bit too selective even. And I must say that so far, the nicest people I've met, the best guests, and that's no offense to any guests that I forget to mention, because every guest has been great, but the best guests, they've been from India. And India, I was worried. They've been a rock band from Scotland and a rock band from Ireland. They've been absolutely perfect guests. They left the house spotless clean. I've had people from China, which was a group that I worried about. No one has ever been any kind of distrust. Everyone has been absolutely great. There's only been one guest who actually stayed one night too long, and that was just a mistake he made in the booking. It was nothing. He didn't make this mistake on purpose. It did cause a bit of a problem, but maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe not. But it was a guest. He just stayed a night too long, which meant that another guest could not check in. But again, everything can be solved, and everything will be solved very, very quickly.
Awesome. So you've had great experiences. Let's hear about the story. Let's hear about this guy who forgot to check out.
Sure, it was an interesting guy. I'm not going to mention too many of his details, but because of his privacy. But it was a guy from America. He came over thinking that he was going to meet a woman at the airport in the Netherlands. So he paid for this woman's travel tickets, for her passport, for everything, and the lady didn't show up. Which it's not a very nice thing to happen to for anyone. But again, so this man came to my apartment on his own. So he was a bit of a strange character already. But then, I kept in touch with him, and he was complaining about a lot of things. I mean, he wasn't a very positive person at all. So I tried to, make him see that he actually did get a very good price for a very good listing, and that he was happy. And I gave him some extra things, and I even offered to buy him an extra chair because he wanted a more comfortable chair to sit on. In the end, he didn't take any of it, and. So the last night, we had some email contact beforehand to be sure that he would be out of the apartment on time, and he said it would be out by I think he said like 4, which is quite late. So 4 in the afternoon. I read into that, and then he said no 4 in the morning. I thought 4 in the morning, great, because his flight was quite early. So then. I got to the apartment at 12 noon, and his stuff was still. He wasn't there. His stuff was still there. So I figured, maybe he did mean 4 in the afternoon. Maybe it was just a language issue, a communication issue, and so I went. I just went away and came back at 4, and his stuff was still there. And my new guests, they were going to check in at 5, so that would have been a problem. So I called Airbnb immediately and said, one of my guests is still here and I cannot reach him. I tried to call him and he wouldn't pick up his phone. And Airbnb, they immediately responded, and I have to share this part of the story because this is important. This is how well Airbnb treats both their guests and their hosts. And Airbnb immediately responded by saying, we will give you €250 so that you can book for these guests a hotel room, any hotel room you want, up to the price of €250, so that they at least have a place to stay for tonight. We will contact the guest that stayed too long. We'll make sure that he leaves. So we booked a hotel room, and to cut a long story short, the guest that stayed too long, he actually did leave quite quickly after he got the call from Airbnb. So I actually ended up staying in my own apartment for that one night. I refunded the guests that went into the hotel room. I refunded them one night, so I actually did lose out a little bit. But they left an absolutely perfect review. They were so happy about it, and they were absolutely lovely people. So I'm happy that happened. It was a bit sad for the guy who actually went on to fly to some other country to meet another woman who probably didn't show up again. So it was a bit of a sad character. But again, it's a fun story, and it just shows how well Airbnb treats their hosts and their guests.
Right, and it's interesting because this is one of the scenarios that it's kind of a nightmare, right? You have guests coming in and somebody doesn't leave. I can imagine you must have had a slight moment of panic when you found out an hour before the other guests were supposed to check in that your guy hadn't left yet. It's good to hear that Airbnb took care of your problem, and so it turned into a good experience. Were the guests were they not worried about staying in a hotel? They were okay with that?
Well, it seems they understood how they understood the Airbnb system, which is nice. So they already knew that Airbnb treats them well. Mm-hmm. So actually, they got more than just a refund. The hotel room was quite expensive, I have to say. The hotel room, because there was some conference on that weekend, so all rooms were booked. So we had to get them a suite and at a hotel near the airport, which is also about 30 minutes from where I live. Mm-hmm. And the price of the suite was actually €299 for one night, which is a high price, I have to say.
Right.
But they said, we'll go for it as long as we have a place to stay. We're happy. Mm-hmm. So I refunded them one night. The price at that time for my listing was €97 per night. So they got 250 of Airbnb. They got €97 from me. So actually, they got back. They got back a lot of money. They got back more than just compensating for the hotel room. And I think that's very important too. This is one of the tips. I'll just throw in a tip right away. Is if anything goes wrong, if anything is not completely to the guest satisfaction, always overcompensate. Never just give them what they want. Give them what they want and a little bit more. Right. I'd like to give one more example. Is that okay? Can I give one more example?
Absolutely.
Sure. So one of my guests was asking for an offer. He was going to stay he's staying in my apartment right now. He's there for 3 weeks. And he wanted a better price. He wanted a better deal. And I said, sure, because you're going to stay long anyway. And I now get this, free accommodation in the hotel, which is actually a lovely place also. So I said to him, what kind of price are you looking to pay? And I have to say, he did pay. He wanted a lot less than what I would normally charge. But I knew the guy already, and I figured, that's fine. He's going to stay for a long time. He'll probably book many, many more times in the future also. So not only did I say yes to the deal, I also said I'm going to give you an extra discount. So not just give he said he wanted to pay €800 for 3 weeks, which is, your listing also, €800 for 3 weeks, not a lot of money.
No, it sounds like.
But anyway, I wanted this guy to come back. €800 covers my mortgage. It covers all the costs that I have. So that really wasn't a problem. So I decided I was going to offer the apartment for €750 for 3 weeks, which is it's a fine deal for me because it was going to be gone after 3 weeks, and I didn't have to worry about anything for that time. Mm-hmm. And it was also good because of him. He actually got a better price than what he was expecting.
Awesome. So he must have been really happy.
Absolutely, yeah. He was very happy, and he loves the place. We're emailing, a few times a week just to be sure that everything's okay. I remember from his last time that he loved like Haribo candy. There was a lot of Haribo candy wrappers left around the apartment. He didn't leave it super clean. He left it clean, but not as clean as some guests do. So I said to him, I will buy the Haribo. I will be sure that the Haribo is here.
Next time you come, I'll have some Haribo sweets for you waiting. Exactly. That's pretty funny. So yeah, it's all about what's the expression again? It's under promise and over deliver.
Under promise, over deliver. Absolutely. That's how it is, and I think that's the best way to to run any business. I mean, it works in the hotel business. It works in any business. Always deliver more than what the guests are expecting.
Awesome. So let's get into a little bit more Airbnb advice that you can give out with all your expertise in the hospitality business as an Airbnb host. What else can you recommend other listeners?
Sure. So I think always provide a great breakfast for the guests, and you got to realize that breakfast does not cost a lot of money. What I will provide is like 12 eggs. I will provide bacon. I will provide little croissants. I will provide some jam and some cheese. Those kind of things. So they're quite basic ingredients. They would cost me between €5 and €10 on that's sort of the average price that I spend on breakfast. And the lovely thing is, people do not use the breakfast. Some people do, some people don't.
But do you, if you have a guest for like a week, do you come into your apartment every morning to deliver this, or how does that work?
No, that's a good question. Actually, do not. Some guests say that they love the breakfast and they would love more. So what I'll do is I'll add more. So if it's like 2 guests, 12. One day, that's for a couple of days, but I'll just leave more if they love the breakfast. If they want to make use of the breakfast, then I will be sure that there is more than enough, and I'll be sure that there's enough for a week.
Right, awesome. That's really cool. Well, what else do you think is important?
So what else is important is to stay in contact with your guests before they arrive, and also when they have arrived. One of the things I've noticed is that it's very, very important that guests know how to get to your listing.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to offer pickup from the airport. I've actually stopped doing that now because I've found that the Amsterdam airport it's quite big, and it can be hard to find the guests.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a nice service to offer. So if someone asks it, then I will often offer it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll pick them up from the train station. I'll pick them up from basically wherever they are, as long as they're sort of in the country, in the area. So it's important that they know how to get to the listing. If they have any kind of trouble, even if they decide to cancel on the day, which actually hasn't happened yet, but if they were to cancel on the day, say there's a problem, maybe a family issue or something, I will refund them as quickly as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the loss and I'll help them out, because I know those people will then talk positively about me.
Right.
Rather than saying, we rented this place and we booked for a week and we had to cancel at the last minute. There's always a reason to cancel last minute. So we had to cancel at the last minute, and we lost all the money.
Right.
I don't think that's a fair way to do things. I think you should again under promise, over deliver, and this is one of those things that I can over deliver on.
Right. Awesome. So it's if you do these things, then people will advertise your place for you, right? They will tell other people how awesome you are, and other people will feel comfortable traveling to Utrecht and staying at your apartments.
Absolutely, and one of the big things that I've noticed is a lot of people have marked my place as a favorite place. You can see how many people how many people love your apartment and would love to stay there at some point.
It's the wish list, the little heart.
The wish list, yes, that's the one. And so many people have done that, and so many people have come to my place. It's just great. I'm getting between 30 and 120 people looking at my listing every day. I'm getting inquiries every day. I'm getting bookings, not quite every day, but very, very often. My place is now filled up 20 out of the 30 days in the month. And I think that's just because it's not in Amsterdam. If I had the same listing in Amsterdam or any other big city, like major, well-known city like New York or London or Sydney, it'd have been booked all month.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Utrecht is definitely not as well known. amongst tourists. But hopefully, after this interview, that will change.
We'll see.
We'll make your
let you
city
know
famous.
if I sell out.
All right, cool. I'll take a 10% cut on that, by the way.
Oh, sure.
So, Alex, I understood that you've recently been on Dutch television talking about Airbnb.
Yeah, it was quite funny actually, because it was on a local television channel, and I know you have your listing in Amsterdam also.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the Amsterdam local television, and what they wanted was an Amsterdam host to talk about their experience in Amsterdam, because the Amsterdam municipality, they decided that you can only rent your house, your apartment, your Airbnb listing for a maximum of 60 days a year. And I completely do not agree with that, and they wanted someone who would comment on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I don't live in Amsterdam, I don't have my listing in Amsterdam, but they wanted me to do the interview anyway, so I did. And I was on the television talking to a politician who's decided on this law, one of the people who made this law, and also someone who completely disagrees and says that anyone should be able to do with their apartment what they want. And I know a lot of people in Amsterdam do rent their place out for more than 60 days a year, so I don't think anyone actually checks it. But it's something that's interesting. How some cities, in Berlin also, Airbnb is actually it's just not allowed anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's how these changes. I think these changes, which can be very positive over the long run, how these changes are completely influenced by the government and by I guess also the hotel lobby. I guess hotels are worried about Airbnb also.
Well, that's an interesting point, because I know you talk to hotels a lot, and you're staying in a hotel right now, helping them with the hospitality. So, what's your experience like when you talk to the hotels? Because you're an Airbnb host, do you tell them, and what are their rejections?
Yeah, I absolutely tell them that I'm an Airbnb host, and the reason that I do that is that I can use the things that I learned from Airbnb to help the hotels out.
Right.
Actually, one of the big problems I face with Airbnb, and also what I realize now what I've done wrong, is that the only reason that I'm not a superhost on Airbnb is that I have not gotten enough 5-star reviews.
Right.
So now I realize why is I don't ask for 5-star reviews. You have to ask people to leave a positive review. I mean, people will complain. I mean, and if there's something wrong with the place, people will when they get the chance to leave a review, they will leave a negative review. If an experience is just okay or just good, people won't leave a review. If an experience is outstanding, it's absolutely amazing, they will leave a positive review.
Mm-hmm.
And I am making the experience of my guests more and more and more towards this outstanding level. And I notice I'm getting more reviews, but I still don't ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
And all I need to do is tell them, listen, I'm almost up to the superhost level. I'm going to be, if you can just help me out just a little bit, please leave a positive review. And in fact, what I can also do is say, if you leave a positive review, I will give you the next night you come and stay here for free. That actually gives me 2 advantages. 1, I get guests coming back, and 2, I get the positive review. And the guest is more happy because they will get a night for free.
Wow, that's a pretty steep price you're paying for a review, isn't it?
Well, it could be. I haven't done it yet, and I need to start doing that. And maybe I'll offer them, like, I don't know, a €20 voucher or a €50 voucher. I can, there's many things, many ways to do that.
Right. Well, the way I see it is, I think if you provide an awesome experience to your guests and you really show them that you're doing everything you can to make your guests to make their stay the best stay as possible, you should be getting a lot of 5-star reviews, I think. And what I do is I send my guests a reminder if they don't leave me a review. I always leave my guests a review as soon as they check out. So the guest will get a notification from Airbnb saying that I've left them a review. They won't be able to see them yet because Airbnb has changed the way that reviews work. You can now only see the review after the other person has left one for you as well. But I do send them an email and notify them and say, like, hey, I left you a review. I would be very happy and I would appreciate it if you could leave me a review as well. It would really help me. I don't actually ask for a 5-star review specifically, because I kind of feel that, it's up to them to decide whether they think it was good enough or not. And also, if I don't get a 5-star review and I do get some feedback, that will help me improve, so that eventually in the long run I should only be getting 5-star reviews, because it should be perfect.
Sure. And that's what we should all be aiming for. We should all be aiming to get the 5-star reviews anyway.
Right.
But then again, I'd love to be a superhost. That's just me.
Everybody wants to be a superhost.
Yeah. Awesome. I don't even know what superhosts get you. Do you know what you get as a superhost?
Yes, you get.
Except you get some travel credit and stuff.
Yeah, you get $100 in travel credit. You get extra customer support. You get priority support in case there's any problems. You get the awesome Superhost badge on your profile, and you will also get invitations to exclusive Airbnb events. So maybe a few times a year they'll organize an event, and they will invite you, and they'll also update you more on like changes that they're making, or updates that are coming. So you get a bunch of benefits, but obviously I'm sure they also use it as a factor in the search results. Now this is I don't know for sure, but I just imagine that will be the case.
There you go. So see, I should be a super host. I should be on the 5-star reviews.
Absolutely. Well, they reevaluate all the hosts 4 times a year, and you can actually see on your profile when the next date is. I think January 1st, 2015 is the next time that they will assess everybody. So make sure you get those 80% 5-star reviews on your listing, and of course the best way to do that is to buy our book and implement all the advice.
Absolutely.
So awesome. Is there any other cool stories or interesting advice or whatsoever that you want to share?
Well, I would love to share one more thing. This is just one of the great guests that I've had. They actually, I've talked about the rock bands already, but one of the great guests that have arrived to my apartment actually arrived in a London black taxi. So one of these, those. Anyone who's ever been to London will know the black taxis. So one of those old-fashioned London black taxis, and the guy was actually a taxi driver. So they came in his own taxi all the way from London, which is amazing. And they actually took a picture of it. And if you'd like to see the picture, it's actually on my Airbnb listing. So you're welcome to check that out. Of course, come and stay with me in Utrecht. It's a lovely place. I think it's nicer than Amsterdam, but then I may be a little bit biased because I do live here.
So he drove all the way from London?
He drove all the way to London. Yeah, they have the Channel Tunnel now, going from England to France. So I went through there and drove through France, through Belgium, to the Netherlands, and ended up in Utrecht.
Did you take a ride in his taxi?
I did take a ride in his taxi. It's actually I've been in black taxis before, the London taxis. However, it's nice to be in a London taxi in the Netherlands, in my own little city, in my own little neighborhood.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Alexander, for being on the show. It was really fun talking to you. You had some interesting stories.
Thank you, and I do have to recommend anyone who's listening to this podcast to read your book. It's great. It's helped me out a lot. Also, it's one of the best things I have to say about your book that I like the most. Anyway, is how you do the pricing. You can actually earn a lot more money if you make some small changes to the pricing, and it actually doesn't take a lot of time. So I have to say thank you for that. It's actually made me more money. And I'm sure the guests are as happy as they were before. So thank you for that.
Or happier.
Or happier, yes.
Hopefully. Okay, well, thanks, Alexander. I appreciate that. And for everybody who's listening, if you want to learn about Airbnb hosting like Alexander did, you can buy our book on Amazon. If you put in Airbnb in the search bar, our book is actually the first one to pop up now, and it is a #1 bestseller on Amazon. So we've been getting some great feedback, some great reviews. If you don't want to spend the $9.97, if you're not convinced, you're also more than welcome to go to getpaidforyourpad.com and download the first few chapters so you can get an idea of what the book is like. It's absolutely for free. You can also get the audiobook for free. getpaidforyourpad.com/audio-book, and you will also get a email training series. I will send you a bunch of emails that contain a lot of advice on how to improve your listing. So there's a lot of ways that you can learn more about Airbnb hosting, and if you have any questions, you can always send us an email at info@getpaidforyourpad.com. And of course, stay tuned for more episodes of this podcast every Monday and Thursday. So with that, I'm going to check out. I hope you guys will have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Get paid for your pad. 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 Get paid for your pad.